At the end of each of the first days, God looks down on what's come into being on that particular day and was pretty proud. Light and darkness? Good. Water and dry land? Good. Sun and moon and stars? Good. Plants and animals? Good. Human beings? Tov me'od. Very, very good. But then the Almighty noticed an unexpected flaw in the design. Lo tov heot adam levado, God says. It's not good for a person to be all alone. I'll make for the first human being an ezer kenegdo, an opposite, a balance, a partner. Loneliness is the very first thing in creation that God declares not good. And love, since the very beginning, has always been the answer. Martin Buber, the 20th century German Jewish philosopher, taught that cultivating meaningful relationships is at the core of what it means to be a human being. In 1923, he wrote a slender volume of philosophy called I and Thou, which, despite its complicated, very Germanic philosophical language, boils down to a very straightforward idea. Buber taught that we're always relating to one another in one of two ways, I-it or I-thou. When we relate to someone as an it, we treat them as a means to further our own ends. When we check out at the grocery store, or get cash from a bank teller, or even call our spouse at work to ask them to stop and pick up some ice cream on the way home, we're engaging in an I-it style of relating. And Buber makes clear there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Most of the time, he says, we need to be in I-it mode in order to take care of the daily business of living. However, a life that's made up of only I-it interactions, transactions really, is not much of a life at all. He says that while the greater quantity of our life will inevitably be spent in I-it mode, the quality of our life comes from time spent in a very different kind of relating, which he called I-thou. When we relate to another person as a thou, we connect with no agenda other than the desire to connect itself. This is the world of empathy, of deep listening, of loving presence. For Buber, God doesn't live way up in heaven. God, he says, is to be found in that magical, electric kind of connection between an I and a thou. This kind of connection, fleeting and elusive as it can be, is what gives life its meaning. It's what binds together close friends and family members. And in one of its highest forms, it brings together two people for a relationship of intimacy and love that can sustain them on the long road through a lifetime. The word in Hebrew for a Jewish wedding ceremony is kiddushin, which comes from the same root as the Kiddush prayer we say over wine, or the Kaddish prayer we say in synagogue in memory of someone who's died. All three mean set apart. When we say Kiddush, we set apart Shabbat as a sacred time. When we say Kaddish, we set apart the memory of a loved one as special and sacred. And when we perform Kiddushin, we identify another person who is set apart from all others as our person, our partner, our beloved. The wedding ceremony starts with the signing of a legal document, the ketubah, which once served the dual function of a marriage license and a sort of prenup designed to protect women from abandonment in a time when they were entirely economically dependent on men. Still today, the ketubah is a signed contract that formalizes two people's promises to honor and care for one another. Most modern ketubot are also pieces of art, designed to hang on your wall as a daily reminder of loving commitment. Once a ketubah is signed and witnessed, the couple then moves on to their chuppah. The tradition of getting married under a canopy dates back at least 2,000 years. The chuppah can be as simple as a talit, a prayer shawl, or even a plain piece of fabric suspended over the couple's heads. It can also be something more personal. I once went to a wedding of book lovers who made their chuppah out of the dust jackets of books they particularly loved sewn together. For another wedding, the invitation came with a fabric square that each guest was asked to decorate and send back, and then they were quilted together to make the chuppah. The chuppah that my wife and I were married under was made by my mother and my grandmother, and includes a pattern of birds and vines. It's now been used for almost 20 weddings of family and friends. And with each new union, my grandmother, my bubby, sews on a new leaf with the name of that couple. The ceremony starts, as do almost all Jewish events, with a blessing over a glass of wine. Then there's an exchange of rings with the following declaration: "With this ring, you are sanctified to me, in accordance with the traditions of Moses and Israel." With the ketubah signed and the exchange finished, the couple is bound together. The rest of the ceremony is just about showering them with blessings and good wishes. In particular, we offer the Sheva Brachot, the 7 blessings, that thank God for creating joy and gladness and the voices of people feasting and singing and celebrating love. The final act of the wedding is the breaking of a glass. The most common explanation for this ancient custom is that the glass is broken to remind us that even amidst all this joy, there's still plenty of brokenness in the world. And it's the couple's job to go out and to do their part to contribute to the healing. There's a short book toward the end of the Hebrew Bible that at first glance seems like it doesn't belong. It's called Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs. And it's an 8-chapter, frankly pretty erotic love poem, describing in vivid detail the passionate courtship of 2 young lovers who pursue one another through the gardens and orchards of the ancient Galilee. "Oh, give me the kisses of your mouth, for your lips are sweeter than wine," he says to her. "Oh, I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine," she breathlessly replies. We know there was substantial debate over whether such a book should be included at all in the Bible. In fact, the majority of the rabbis opposed it. But they were overruled by the most respected sage of his generation, Rabbi Akiva, who exclaimed, "If all the writings are holy, the Song of Songs is the holiest of all." Religion has the well-earned reputation of treating love and sex as something shameful or sinful, of speaking in a nonstop litany of "thou shalt nots." But the Bible begins with the human need for companionship and includes texts like the Song of Songs that celebrate with unabashed and unembarrassed joy the pleasures of romance and attraction. The triumph of love is something to celebrate, to sanctify, and to bless. It's not good for a person to be alone. We need each other. And if we're lucky enough to find someone who sees us as a true thou in our lifetimes, we've found the world's greatest treasure.
Yay,